What's going on, guys? All right, I put up a little instrumental track that I'm going to work on. I've been playing a lot of instrumental guitar at some gigs, and decided I want to record these tunes. But some people were, in like kind of a funny way, asking how they could play that fast. And there's something that I want to show you guys that I personally need to work on that I realize when I'm doing these sets. And that is, if you're really going to boil it down to playing really fast, there's minute movement. That's what we need to get. So if we're just talking about our picking hand, minute movement, not digging too far into the strings, right? Really letting that pick roll through, because once that pick is just barely floating over the strings, when you start going fast, that's going to add that little bit of volume without having to dig into the string, right? Just because of the velocity from the speed. So it's just allowing that pick to roll right over the string, nice and light, not getting caught up, right? Because as soon as this pick gets caught up in the string, like if I press it in more, right? Well, number one, it's going to get caught up because you're playing lighter, which you need to be playing lighter to get that speed. You cannot do this heavily. You cannot engage that much muscle, all right? So it's going to start getting caught up. Not only that, it's going to just create more time and more motion, which we also want to cut down on. So you want to keep that pick as close to the string as you can really see, instead of like a normal up and down pick. Right? If you can get that pick just kind of like barely going over. So those are the things that I want you to work on, which are nice and easy, especially if you work on like some of the thicker strings at first. So guys, just barely letting that pick over the string. Right? Now, what I really want you to focus on from here, and this is something that I was noticing at the gig that I was just playing, is not allowing any muscle up here to engage at all. So what I do is I'll actually tell a student to put their hand right here, so I got like a ton of bracelets on, put their hand right here and not allow any engagement up here, right? Now, how this also helps is we're saying the palm mute right here. All right, that palm muting takes all of this excess muscle away. If I lift up and I'm not anchored down at all, right, I tend to use my elbow. This is all this motion you guys can see. There's no muscle engagement from up here. There's a little tendon engagement, but no actual muscle engagement, right? And it's just nice and light up and down, all right, and nice and consistent. Another really cool way to do it is I'm actually using my pick like is pretty worn down from the gig. So that might help you guys get that rolling over. And then what you can do is start adding, like using a newer pick to see if you can get the same thing. That might help. That also might be counterproductive depending on how far in you're used to kind of like digging in. Anyway, that being said, focus on those main points. Anchor down. No engagement from up here, which means nice and light. And then once that happens, right, you guys can see, no matter what, I'm able to just do this forever. What I've noticed when I'm playing is definitely kind of drilling in a little bit more, getting a little speed, getting a little bit more dynamic, which is fine. But what I'm noticing is moving up and down, right? Just to get those motions, I start engaging up here and tensing up. So what I need to work on is whatever scale I decide to do doesn't really matter. You know, it's just kind of like if I'm going to do A minor. Now I'm doing this just so if you guys hear, just so I want on my A natural minor, I just want 3 notes per string. But if I'm doing that and I'm just kind of like going up and down, I don't really have a pattern much. Right, and that, what I'm trying to do is getting across the strings in a pattern that I can move without jumping too far off of the strings and starting to engage this, which I'm starting to notice is happening when I'm playing. If I'm really doing like a fast, right, I can even feel it right there. There were some skip notes in there, even though I'm playing super light, just because I'm jumping from string to string. Whereas if I stay here, you know, kind of like on those two strings, it's a little bit easier for me to control. So that is something that I notice that I need to work on. So how I'm going to try to do that is now skipping strings. Even if I just do, right, I can even feel in that I'm tensing up a little bit more. And that exercise, you guys want to try the, not necessarily the easier version of that exercise, but I'm just basically just playing the 5th fret. If you guys want to start, once you can get that consistently, right, just kind of going down the 5th fret, what I'm doing is I'm skipping the strings. Right, and just trying to get that a little bit better and focusing on every time that I'm moving the strings, not to jump up and start engaging that muscle, that kind of, that elbow muscle, and really just still staying true. Right, a little bit more difficult. So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about how I do some of that speed picking, but also like what my faults are and what I'm doing to kind of fix it. Because I do remember in some of those songs that I was definitely starting to tense up a little bit. The one cool thing about training in this way is even when I was starting to tense up, I was able to notice it and try to ease back to something more relaxed because I have that super speed relaxed feel that I can try to get back to as much as possible. So hope that video helped, guys. Let me know what you think.